There is a reason your fingers did not scroll past this. There is a reason your eyes paused just for a second longer than usual. You may have been doing something ordinary, resting, thinking, distracted, even lost in your own thoughts, and yet something invisible pulled you here. Not loudly, not forcefully, but deliberately. And now, you're here, reading this, feeling something stir that you cannot fully explain. You watch as this moment unfold. The voice that speaks is not rushed, yet it carries urgency. It is steady, yet it shakes the unseen. And in that voice, there is a truth that cannot be ignored. This is not random. This is not coincidence. This is not just another message floating through the noise of your day. This is a divine interruption. Archangel Michael stands in the unseen, observing the exact second you arrived here. He does not guess. He does not assume. He knows, because heaven marked this moment long before you lived it. And now, the veil has shifted just enough for this message to reach you. Precisely now, not earlier, not later. Now. You felt it, haven't you? That strange tension in your spirit recently, like something is about to happen, but you can't name it. Like you're standing on the edge of something big, but you don't know whether it's breakthrough or breakdown. Moments where your thoughts feel louder than usual. Moments where your peace feels interrupted for no clear reason. Moments where something deep inside whispers. Pay attention, that whisper was not your imagination. He sees your hesitation. He sees your questions. He sees the way you've been trying to make sense of things that don't quite add up. The sudden delays. The unexpected changes. The feeling that time is moving but something in your life feels paused. And while you tried to rationalize it, to explain it away, to push through it quietly, heaven was watching. And now, heaven has responded. Because there are moments when God does not wait for you to seek the answer. He sends the answer directly to you. And this is one of those moments. But here is what you must understand. Divine interruptions do not come without reason. They come when something is about to shift. They come when something requires your attention immediately. They come when delay is no longer safe. And right now, delay is dangerous. There is something unfolding around you that you cannot fully see yet. Conversations forming. Decisions aligning. Spiritual movements happening just beyond your awareness. And while everything may look normal on the surface, beneath it something is accelerating. That is why this message feels different. It's not just words. It's pressure. It's urgency. It's a pull that refuses to let you dismiss it casually. Archangel Michael does not interrupt lightly. When he steps forward with a message, it is because timing has reached a critical point. And May 15th is not just a date. It is a marker. A line drawn in the unseen. A moment where something either aligns or slips away. You were not chosen because you are perfect. You were chosen because you are aware enough to feel that something is shifting even if you don't understand it yet. And right now, as you read this, there is a quiet battle happening, not outside, but within you. A part of you wants to keep reading, to lean in, to understand. Another part of you wants to brush it off, to move on, to return to comfort. That tension you feel. That is not sluchahikakien or estayuri. That is the moment of awakening pressing against the moment of distraction. And only one of them can win. He is watching your attention. Not to judge you, but to guide you. Because what you do next matters more than you realize. This is the moment where everything begins to shift or everything begins to slip. And the truth is, you felt this coming before you even saw these words. You knew something was off. You knew something was trying to get your attention. You knew this wasn't just another ordinary moment. And now you're being asked to listen. Because what comes next will not just explain what's happening, it will reveal what you must do before time runs out. Type "I am ready" in the comments if you feel this message. Blessing code 1010 is now surrounding you. There are moments in life when time feels ordinary, when seconds pass unnoticed, when minutes blur into hours, and when days slip quietly into memory without leaving a mark. But then, there are moments like this, moments where time tightens, where seconds carry weight, where a single decision made in an instant can echo across your entire future. And this is one of those moments. He reveals it now with unmistakable clarity. The 10 seconds is not just a number. It is not a metaphor meant to entertain or exaggerate. It is a spiritual measurement, a divine signal, a compressed window where alignment must happen immediately, not eventually. Because in the realm of heaven, timing is not counted the way humans count it. Seconds are not always seconds. Sometimes they are opportunities. Sometimes they are warnings. Sometimes they are the final opening before a door closes. And right now that opening is narrowing. Archangel Michael does not speak in confusion. When he declares a countdown, it is because something has already been set into motion. Something has already begun to shift in the unseen, and it is moving faster than you realize. While you are reading, while you are processing, while you are trying to understand, the clock is not waiting. It is advancing. You may ask yourself, why so urgent? Why now? Why me? And the answer is not meant to overwhelm you, but to awaken you. Because the truth is, this moment did not begin when you saw this message. It began long before. It began with the signs you ignored, the nudges you felt but dismissed, the quiet instructions that came to you in subtle ways, through thoughts, through feelings, through moments of clarity that you chose to delay acting on. This is not the beginning of the warning. This is the final reinforcement of it. He has been calling your attention for some time now, in ways that felt small, in ways that felt easy to overlook. A thought that came suddenly and left just as quickly. A feeling that something needed to change, but you postponed it. A moment where you knew you should act, speak, move, or release something, but you said, later. And now, later has arrived. This is why the countdown feels intense. Because it is not starting from zero, it is finishing what was already in motion. The 10 seconds is not about panic. It is about precision. It is about the exact point where delay is no longer harmless, where hesitation begins to cost you something greater than comfort. He sees the weight of this moment, not to frighten you, but to make you aware of its importance. Because what is at stake is not small. It is not temporary. It is not something you can easily recover if ignored. There are alignments connected to this moment, doors that were prepared, paths that were cleared, protection that was positioned, all waiting for your response. And without that response, they cannot fully activate. This is the part many fail to understand. Divine plans are not forced. They are offered, guided, positioned. But they still require participation. They require agreement. They require movement. And when that movement is delayed too long, the window does not stay open forever. The countdown exists because the window is closing. You may not see it physically, but in the unseen, things are shifting quickly. Opportunities are adjusting. Timelines are being evaluated. And heaven is watching, not with impatience but with readiness. Ready to move the moment you align. Ready to release the moment you respond. Ready to activate everything that has been waiting for you. But the key is this: it must happen now. Not tomorrow, not when you feel more prepared, not when it becomes more convenient. Now, because the 10 seconds is symbolic of immediacy, of decisive action, of breaking the pattern of delay that has followed you longer than you realize. It is not about rushing blindly. It is about responding clearly, without overthinking, without second-guessing, without falling back into hesitation. He knows your pattern, the way you pause when you should move, the way you analyze when you should trust, the way you delay when you should act. And this moment, this exact moment, is confronting that pattern directly. Will you respond differently this time? That is the question the countdown is asking, because everything that follows depends on your answer. This is not pressure. It is positioning. It is the final call before alignment locked into place for slips just out of reach. And as the seconds pass, not loudly but quietly, steadily, intentionally, you are being given the chance to choose, to act, to align, to step into what has already been prepared for you, or to let it pass like the moments before it. But this time the cost of letting it pass will not be the same. He has brought you to this point for a reason. And now, the countdown continues. Type ACT now in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2020 is now activated. There is something you have been overlooking, and deep down you already know it. It has not been hidden from you completely. It has not been locked away beyond your reach. No, it has been placed right in front of you. Subtle, quiet, easy to ignore, yet persistent enough that it keeps returning to your awareness. And every time it surfaces, you feel it. A slight discomfort, a gentle nudge, that inner knowing that says, this matters. But instead of confronting it, you've learned to move around it, to delay it, to convince yourself that it can wait just a little longer. He sees this clearly. This is the hidden delay. It is not always something dramatic. It is not always a major decision or a life-altering mistake. Sometimes, it is the small thing you keep postponing, the conversation you avoid, the action you hesitate to take, the boundary you know you should set but keep softening, the habit you recognize is draining you, yet you continue to tolerate it, the calling that has been placed on your heart, but you keep telling yourself, I'll step into it when the time feels right. But the truth is the time already came, and it passed quietly while you were waiting for a feeling that was never required. Archangel Michael reveals this with precision because this delay is not harmless. It is not neutral. It is not something that simply sits still while you decide when to act. Every moment of delay creates a shift, a subtle misalignment, a slight distance between where you are and where you were meant to be. And over time, the distance grows, not enough for you to notice immediately, but enough to affect the flow of what was prepared for you. You may have wondered why certain things feel slower than they should, why progress seems inconsistent, why doors appear to open, but something always feels slightly off when you step toward them. It is not because the plan has failed. It is because alignment hath been interrupted, and the interruption is delay. He is not revealing this to accuse you. He is revealing this to awaken you, because what you have been ignoring is directly connected to what you have been waiting for. Here is a link between the action you keep postponing and the breakthrough you keep expecting. And as long as that action remains untouched, the breakthrough cannot fully arrive. Not because it was taken away, but because it requires your agreement to activate. This is where many misunderstand the process. They believe blessings arrive independently, without participation. They believe what is meant for them will come regardless of their response. But heaven does not operate in force. It operates in partnership. And when one side delays, the movement slows. He have been waiting for you to notice this. Not in fear, not in pressure, but in clarity. Think back for a moment. There was a point, not long ago, where you felt certain about something. Clear, directed, almost unshakable in your understanding of what needed to be done. And then something happened. Doubt entered. Distraction appeared. Comfort whispered to you. And instead of acting in that moment of clarity, you stepped back. That was the moment alignment paused. And ever since then, you have been trying to regain a sense of movement that once felt natural. This is why this message has reached you now. Because the hidden delay is no longer hidden. It has been exposed. And now, you are being asked to confront it, not later, not eventually, but immediately. There is no need to overcomplicate it. You already know what it is. It is the thing that came to your mind the moment you started reading this section. The thing you tried to push aside. The thing you told yourself was not urgent. That is the very thing connected to your next step. Archangel Michael's voice does not soften here. It sharpens. Not to harm you, but to cut through the hesitation that has held you back. Because this is the turning point. The place where delay either ends or continues. And if it continues, the cost decreases. Not as punishment, but as consequence. Because every opportunity is tied to timing. And when timing shifts, outcomes adjust. What was once easy may become difficult. What was once open may require more effort. What was once a line may take longer to return. But here is the truth that still stands. It is not too late. You are still within the window. That is why you are hearing this now. This is your moment to correct the delay. To act where you hesitated. To move where you paused. To decide where you remained uncertain. And the moment you do, everything begins to realign. Not solely, not eventually, but immediately. Because heaven has not withdrawn what was prepared for you. It has simply been waiting for you to step into agreement with it. And that agreement begins with action. Now, type "I release delay" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 3030 is now activated. As this truth settles into your spirit, understand this. Every moment of alignment you step into does not just transform your life. It becomes a ripple that reaches others who are still trapped in delay. When you release your support through Super Thanks or through the PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a message. You are sowing into a movement that awakens souls who are standing at their own turning point. The word declares, those who sow in obedience will reap in divine timing, and this is your moment to step into that flow. I feel this call rising within me, and I respond with purpose, knowing that my action becomes a seed in someone else's breakthrough. Do not hesitate in this sacred moment, because what you release now carries spiritual weight beyond what you can see. Heaven watches the heart that moves without delay, and it multiplies every act done in faith. As you give, you are opening channels for light to reach those still waiting in darkness. Step forward now, release your seed, and become part of the divine alignment unfolding through this message. There is a difference between guidance and command, and right now what is being released over your life is not gentle suggestion. It is not actual advice. It is not something you can weigh, analyze, and return to later when it feels convenient. What you are hearing in this moment carries authority. It carries weight. It carries a tone that does not bend to hesitation. Because when Archangel Michael speaks in moments like this, he does not whisper possibilities. He declares direction. And that is what is happening now. He is not asking you to consider change. He is not inviting you to casually reflect. He is issuing a command that is meant to cut through every layer of delay, doubt, and distraction that has surrounded you. His voice carries the force of clarity, and that clarity is meant to move you, not gradually, not eventually, but immediately. You can feel it, can't you? There is something different about this moment compared to all the others. The messages you have heard before may have inspired you, comforted you, even challenged you, but this one presses on you. It does not allow you to stay neutral. It does not allow you to remain undecided. It demands a response. That is because this is not informational. This is directional. Archangel Michael stands as a protector, but also as a warrior of truth. And when truth is released at this level, it does not come softly. It comes with precision. It comes with force. It comes with the intention to separate what is aligned from what is not, to remove confusion, to break hesitation, to expose what you have been tolerating that no longer belongs in your path. He sees where you have been negotiating with things you should have already released. He sees where you have been explaining away what your spirit already rejected. He sees where you have been trying to maintain balance between what is comfortable and what is correct. And now, his voice interrupts all of it. This is where everything changes. Because a command leaves no room for negotiation. It draws a clear line. He says, this must happen now. Not because you are being forced, but because the moment requires it. Because the timing demands it. Because the longer you remain in between, the more you risk losing alignment with what has already been prepared for you. And this is what many struggle with. They want confirmation without responsibility. They want clarity without action. They want direction without movement. But heaven does not operate that way. When clarity is given, it is given with the expectation that it will be followed. That is why this moment feels heavier, because you are no longer in a place of uncertainty. You are in a place of knowing, and knowing removes the ability to pretend that you are unsure. Archangel Michael's voice is cutting through every excuse you have created to delay what you already understand. It is dismantling the comfort you have built around inaction. It is confronting the pattern that has kept you circling instead of progressing. And now, you are standing at a point where a decision cannot be avoided. You will either respond to the command or you will resist it. But there is no neutral ground anymore. He does not speak this way to overwhelm you. He speaks this way to protect you. Because what is ahead requires clarity. It requires decisiveness. It requires a level of alignment that cannot coexist with hesitation. And if you carry delay into what is coming, you will not be able to hold what has been prepared for you. This is why the command is urgent. Not because you are in danger, but because you are at the edge of something significant. Something that will not wait indefinitely. Something that requires you to step forward fully, not partially. Completely, not cautiously. He is calling you into that position now. To stand firm in what you already know. To act on what has already been revealed. To move without waiting for another sign. Because this is the sign. There will not be a clearer moment than this one. There will not be a louder confirmation than what you are hearing right now. And the longer you hesitate, the quieter this clarity becomes. Not because it disappears, but because your attention begins to shift away from it. That is how delay works. It does not always remove the truth. It distracts you from it until it feels distant. But right now, the truth is not distant. It is right in front of you. And Archangel Michael's voice is making sure you cannot ignore it. This is the moment where you stop negotiating. This is the moment where you stop delaying. This is the moment where you stop questioning what you already know is required. And instead you act, not out of fear, but out of alignment. Because everything that follows depends on what you do with this command. And this time you already know what that is. Type "I obey" now in the comments if you receive this message. Lesson code 4040 is now activated. There is a pattern that has followed you, whether you recognized it fully or not. A pattern that shows up right when things begin to shift in your favor. Right when clarity starts forming. Right when you feel a sense of momentum building. Something interrupts. Something distracts. Something pulls your focus away just enough to slow you down. And what you once believed was coincidence is now being revealed as strategy. He unveils it now without confusion. This is the trap before the breakthrough. It does not come loudly. It does not announce itself as danger. It rarely looks like something you would immediately reject. Instead, it appears familiar, harmless, even reasonable. It may come as a sudden emotional wave that makes you question everything. It may come as a conversation that pulls you back into old patterns. It may come as an opportunity that seems good, but quietly misaligned. It may even come as fatigue, doubt, or the urge to delay just a little longer. And the timing of it is never random. It shows up right before movement, right before alignment, right before you step into what has been prepared for you. Because the closer you get to breakthrough, the more precise the interference becomes. Archangel Michael reveals this not to alarm you, but to sharpen your awareness. Because what you are facing is not obvious resistance, it is subtle redirection. It is designed to make you feel like you are still moving forward, while quietly pulling you off course. And if you are not paying attention, you will not notice the shift until you find yourself wondering why progress has slowed again. This is how this has affected you before. Moments where you were close, closer than you realized, and something small pulled you away. A distraction that seemed insignificant at the time. A delay that felt justified. A choice that did not seem harmful in the moment. But later, you felt it. That sense that something had shifted. That something had been missed. That was not your imagination. That was a trap doing exactly what it was designed to do. And now, it is attempting to appear again. But this time you are not unaware. This time, you are being shown the pattern before it completes itself. This is where everything changes. Because a trap only works when it is unseen. The moment it is recognized, it loses its power. And right now, recognition is being placed directly in your hands. You may already feel it forming. A pull toward something that does not fully sit right with you. A distraction trying to claim your attention. A thought trying to convince you to delay just a little longer. It may not feel intense. It may not feel urgent. But that is exactly how it operates. It feels small enough to ignore, yet significant enough to alter your direction. Archangel Michael's presence intensifies here, not in fear but in protection. Because he knows what is at stake in this moment. He knows how close you are. He knows how easily this could be disrupted if you fall back into old patterns. And he is stepping in to make sure you see clearly before you act. You are not being asked to fight blindly. You are being asked to discern carefully. To pause, not in hesitation, but in awareness. To question what is presenting itself to you, not from fear, but from clarity. To recognize whether what is in front of you is aligned or a distraction disguised as opportunity. Because not everything that appears at this moment is meant to be accepted. Some things are meant to test whether you have learned from what you have already experienced. This is the test, not of your strength, but of your awareness. Will you recognize the pattern before it repeats? Will you choose differently when the same type of distraction appears? Will you move with clarity instead of reacting out of habit? These are the questions this moment is asking you, because the breakthrough you are approaching is real. It is not distant. It is not uncertain. It is already in position. But the trap exists to delay your arrival to it. Not permanently, but long enough to shift the timing. And timing is everything. That is why this message carries urgency. Because if you remain aware, if you stay aligned, if you refuse to engage with what you know is not right, the trap cannot hold you. It will pass. It will lose its influence. And you will move forward without interruption. But if you ignore what you are being shown now, the pattern will repeat. Not because you were meant to fail, but because you chose not to see what was revealed. This is your advantage. This is your moment of clarity before action. And what you do with it will determine whether you step into your breakthrough or circle back into delay. He has made it visible now. The trap is no longer hidden, and you are no longer unaware. So when it appears, and it will, you will recognize it. And this time you will not fall into it. You will step over it, and keep moving forward, exactly as you were meant to. Type I see the trap in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 5050 is now activated. There is something you must understand with absolute clarity in this moment. What is before you is not small, and what is at risk is not insignificant. This is not about a minor delay or a temporary inconvenience. This is about alignment with a plan that was carefully prepared, positioned, and timed specifically for you. And when alignment is ignored at a critical moment, it is not just time that is affected, it is access. He reveals this now with intensity, not to create fear, but to awaken urgency within you. Because there are things attached to your obedience that cannot fully manifest through delay. There are doors that were not just opened randomly, but opened with precision. Opportunities that were not accidental, but assigned. Connections that were not casual, but intentional. Protection that was not passive, but strategically placed around your life. And all of it, every piece of it, was designed to come together in alignment with a specific moment. That moment is now. Archangel Michael does not speak lightly when he warns of loss. He is not referring to punishment. He is not speaking of something being taken from you out of anger. He is revealing the natural consequence of misalignment. Because when timing shifts, the structure built around that timing also shifts. What was meant to meet you at this point cannot always remain in place indefinitely. This is where many misunderstand divine flow. They believe that what is meant for them will remain untouched, unmoved, and unchanged regardless of their response. But the truth is, divine plans are dynamic. They move. They adjust. They respond to alignment. And when alignment is delayed, the plan does not always wait. It continues forward. And if you are not in position when it does, you miss the connection. He is showing you this not to overwhelm you, but to make you aware of the weight of this moment. Because there are things tied to your next step that you cannot afford to postpone any longer. It may be an opportunity that you have been hesitating to pursue, a decision you have been delaying, a change you know you must make but keep avoiding. Whatever it is not isolated, it is connected to something greater, something that extends beyond what you can currently see. And if you ignore this connection, the result is not immediate loss in a visible sense, but a quiet shift in trajectory, a redirection, a delay that compounds over time, a distance between where you are and where you were meant to be. This is how this could happen. How one moment of hesitation can lead to another. How one delayed action can create a chain of missed alignments. Not because you are incapable, but because timing matters more than you have been taught to realize. This is why the warning is so direct. Because what you stand to lose is not just a moment, it is momentum. Momentum that has been building around you. Momentum that has been preparing to carry you forward. Momentum that, once interrupted, requires more effort to rebuild. And beyond momentum there is also access. Access to spaces you have not yet entered. Access to opportunities you have not yet seen. Access to a level of clarity, provision, and movement that has been waiting for your agreement. And access, once missed, does not always reopen in the same way. This is not to say that everything disappears permanently, but it does mean that what was once simple may become complex. What was once direct may become delayed. What was once aligned may require realignment. And all of that can be avoided by responding now. Archangel Michael's voice carries a firm clarity here. He is not asking you to act out of fear. He is calling you to act out of awareness. Because you are not being left in the dark about what is happening. You are being shown exactly what is at stake so you can make a conscious decision. A decision to move. A decision to align. A decision to step fully into what has already been prepared for you. This is not about perfection. It is about responsiveness. It is about recognizing that this moment matters more than the ones you have ignored before. Because this moment is different. This moment carries weight. This moment carries consequence. And this moment carries opportunity. All at the same time. You are not being asked to understand every detail of what lies ahead. You are being asked to trust what has been revealed to you now. To act on it without delay. To step forward without waiting for more confirmation. Because the confirmation is already here. And what you do with it will determine whether you move into what has been prepared or watch it move just beyond your reach. He has made it clear. Nothing is hidden from you anymore. The plan is still available. The alignment is still possible. But the window is not infinite. And right now it is still open. Type "I choose alignment" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 6060 is now activated. Here comes a point where everything narrows into a single moment, a single choice, a single response that carries more weight than all the thoughts that came before it. You have now arrived at that point. Not gradually, not accidentally, but deliberately. Every message, every nudge, every sense of urgency you have felt have been leading you here, into a moment where you cannot remain undecided any longer. He sees you standing at this intersection. On one side, there is obedience. Clear, direct, immediate. It does not require you to have every answer. It does not require you to feel completely ready. It only requires one thing: your willingness to move in alignment with what you already know. On the other side, there is delay. Familiar, comfortable, easy to justify. It whispers to you, telling you that you still have time, that you can act later, that waiting will not change anything. But that is where the deception lies. Because this moment is not like the others. This is not a situation where delay leaves everything unchanged. This is a moment where delay actively shifts the outcome. Where hesitation is not neutral, it is a decision in itself. And whether you realize it or not, choosing to wait is choosing a different path. Archangel Michael's presence intensifies here, not to pressure you, but to make the weight of this choice unmistakably clear. Because you are not choosing between something difficult and something easy. You are choosing between alignment and misalignment. Between movement and stagnation. Between stepping into what has already been prepared for you or stepping away from it without realizing it. And the truth is, you already feel which side you are meant to choose. There is a clarity within you that does not need more explanation. a knowing that does not need more evidence. It is quiet, but it is firm. It has been there before this message, and it is stronger now as you read these words. That knowing is not confusion. It is direction. But direction alone is not enough. It must be followed. This is where many hesitate, not because they do not understand, but because they overthink. They begin to question the timing, the outcome, the possible consequences. They try to calculate what will happen if they act, and what will happen if they wait. And in doing so, they move themselves away from the simplicity of what is required. Because obedience is simple. Not always easy, but simple. It does not ask you to predict the future. It does not ask you to control the outcome. It asks you to take the step that has already been shown to you. And that step is right in front of you now. Delaying, on the other hand, complicates everything. It introduces doubt where there was clarity, and creates questions where there were answers. It stretches the moment that was meant to be immediate into something uncertain. And the longer you stay in that space, the harder it becomes to return to the clarity you once had. He knows this pattern. He has seen how easily a clear moment can turn into hesitation, how quickly certainty can be replaced with second-guessing. And that is why this moment is being emphasized so strongly, because this is where the pattern must break, not later. Now, this is where you choose to respond differently than you have before, to act instead of pause, to move instead of analyze, to trust instead of delay. And the moment you do, everything shifts, not because the situation changes instantly, but because you have aligned yourself with what was already waiting for you. You step into position. You reconnect with the flow that was prepared. You move forward in a way that cannot happen while you remain undecided. But if you delay, the opposite occurs. The moment passes. The clarity fades. The opportunity adjusts. And you are left trying to recreate something that was already perfectly positioned for you once before. This is why this moment matters. Not because you are being tested in a harsh way, but because you are being given a real choice. A choice that carries real impact. A choice that determines direction. Archangel Michael does not make this choice for you. He reveals it. He clarifies it. He brings you to the point where you can see it without confusion. And now you must decide. Will you act on what you know? Or will you return to what you have already outgrown? This is the moment where everything separates. Where intention becomes action. Where knowing becomes movement. Where alignment becomes reality. And the answer is not found in more thinking. It is found in what you do next. He is watching, not to judge you, but to witness your decision. Because this decision will define what follows. And this time you are fully aware of it. Type "I choose obedience" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 7070 is now activated. Something has already begun. Even before you reach this point, even before you fully understood what was unfolding, there was movement. Quiet at first. Subtle enough that you could almost dismiss it. But now, as you stand in this moment, that movement is becoming undeniable. The atmosphere around you is not the same as it was before. The energy, the tension, the awareness, it has all shifted. He reveals this not as a possibility, but as a reality. Because the truth is, the spiritual shift you have been sensing is not something that is about to happen. It is something that is already happening. And the reason it feels unfamiliar is because you are standing in the middle of it, not observing it from a distance. You have felt it in small ways. Moments where your awareness seemed sharper than usual. Moments where certain things no longer felt right, even though they once did. Conversations that suddenly felt different. environments that no longer carried the same comfort. Even your own thoughts have begun to change, more focused, more intentional, more aware of what aligns and what does not. That is not random. That is the shift. Archangel Michael stands within this movement, not watching passively, but actively guiding the separation that is taking place. Because every spiritual shift involves two things happening at once: alignment with what belongs and detachment from what does not. And this is where many feel uncomfortable. Because while alignment feels right, detachment can feel unfamiliar. It can feel like loss, like distance, like something is being removed before you fully understand why. But what you are experiencing is not loss. It is refinement. It is the clearing of space for what is meant to enter. This is how this has affected you. The way certain connections no longer feel the same. The way your patience for certain things has decreased. The way you have begun to question patterns you once accepted without hesitation. This is not confusion. It is awareness increasing. Is your ability to discern becoming stronger? And as that discernment grows, the shift accelerates. Things that once blended together now stand apart. What once felt normal now feels misaligned. What once held your attention now feels distant. And while part of you may try to hold on to what is familiar, another part of you knows it no longer fits. That is the evidence of change. Not external proof, but internal clarity. Archangel Michael's voice carries calm authority here, reminding you that this shift is necessary. Because what is coming next requires a different level of alignment than what you have been operating in before. It requires clarity without confusion, movement without hesitation, awareness without distraction, and that cannot exist in the same space as what you are being separated from. This is why the shift feels both powerful and uncomfortable at the same time. Because you are not just moving forward, you are moving out of something. Out of patterns, out of environments, out of ways of thinking that once held you in place. And as you move out, you begin to see more clearly. You begin to recognize things you overlooked before. You begin to understand why certain situations never fully align. You begin to see how certain delays were not random, but connected to what you were still holding on to. And with that recognition comes a choice. To continue holding on or to fully step into the shift. Because the shift will not force you forward. It will create the conditions for movement, but you must choose to walk through them. This is where your awareness becomes critical. Because as the shift intensifies, distractions may also increase. Not to stop you, but to test whether you will remain focused. Whether you will continue moving forward or be pulled back into what you are being separated from. Archangel Michael stands as a protector in this moment, not allowing what is behind you to interfere with what is ahead, unless you choose to return to it. That choice is still yours. But now, you are not making that choice blindly. You are making it with clarity, with awareness, with the understanding that what you are feeling is not confusion. It is transition. A transition into something that has already begun forming around you. And the more you align with it, the more it becomes visible. The more you step into it, the more it supports you. The more you trust it, the more it reveals. This is not the beginning of the shift. This is the middle of it. And what you do now determines how fully you step into what it is leading you toward. He has already set it in motion. He has already begun the separation. He has already prepared the alignment. And now you are being asked to move with it. Not against it. Not around it. But through it. Because everything that follows depends on how you respond to what is already happening. And right now it is happening. Type "I embrace the shift" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 8080 is now activated. As this shift unfolds within you, understand that every awakening you experience becomes a light for someone else still searching in darkness. When you release your support through Super Thanks or through the PayPal link in the description, you are not just giving. You are sowing into a divine flow that carries truth to those who are still waiting for their moment of clarity. The word speaks life into this act. What you release in faith returns multiplied in purpose, and this is your opportunity to step into that living promise. I feel this call within me, and I respond with intention, knowing my action fuels transformation beyond what I can see. Do not delay this movement, because what you give now becomes part of a greater spiritual harvest. Heaven honors the heart that moves in alignment, and it blesses the hand that sows without hesitation. Step into this moment, release your seed, and become a vessel through which this message continues to reach those who need it most. There are moments in your life that feel important, and then there are moments that define everything that comes after. This is not just another important moment. This is a breaking point. A threshold. A line that, once crossed, cannot be returned to in the same way again. And what makes it so significant is not just what is happening, it is the timing of it. He reveals this now with unmistakable seriousness. Because what you're standing in is not a cycle that will simply repeat itself if ignored. This is not one of those situations where you can say, I will come back to this later, and expect everything to be waiting exactly as it is now. This is a divine window, and divine windows do not remain open indefinitely. They appear with purpose. They remain for a moment, and then they close. Not out of punishment, but because timing moves forward. Archangel Michael stands at this threshold, not to pressure you, but to make you aware that this moment carries a level of finality that cannot be overlooked. Because what is being offered to you right now is not just an opportunity, it is alignment at a precise point in time. And once that time passes, the alignment shifts. You may still move forward later. You may still find your way back into progress. But it will not be the same path. It will not be the same ease. It will not be the same direct alignment that is available to you now. That is what makes this moment different. You have been here before, in smaller ways. Moments where you felt a clear pull to act, but you delayed. Moments where you knew what needed to be done, but you chose to wait. And later, when you returned to it, it felt harder, less clear, less aligned. Not because it was taken from you, but because the timing had changed. This is that same principle at a much greater level. This is why Archangel Michael calls this a breaking point. Because after this moment, something shifts permanently. Not everything, but something. And that something is connected to how easily and directly you move into what has been prepared for you. He sees how important this is for you to understand. Because you are not being asked to act blindly. You are being asked to recognize the weight of what is in front of you. To understand that this is not just about making a choice, it is about making it at the right time. And the right time is now. There is a reason this message reached you when it did. There is a reason you felt the urgency the moment you began reading. There is a reason this does not feel like something you can casually ignore. Because deep down, you recognize that this moment is different. It carries a sense of finality, a sense that something is about to either lock into place or move beyond your immediate reach. That feeling is not fear, it is awareness. It is your spirit recognizing the significance of this point in time. And that awareness is what makes this moment powerful. Because now, you are not acting in confusion. You are acting with understanding. You are not guessing what might happen. You are aware of what is at stake. and that awareness gives you the ability to choose correctly, but only if you act on it. Archangel Michael's presence remains steady, unwavering, as if holding this moment in place just long enough for you to respond. Not forcing you, not rushing you, but making it clear that this is the moment where hesitation must end. Because hesitation, at a breaking point, becomes a decision in itself, and that decision carries consequences, not immediate, visible consequences, but shifts in direction that unfold over time. Shifts that could have been avoided. Shifts that could have been aligned differently. Shifts that you may not fully understand until later when you look back and realize what this moment truly was. That is why this cannot be repeated. Not in the same way. Not with the same clarity. Not with the same positioning. Because this moment is tied to now. To this exact point in time. To the alignment that exists right here, right now. And once that alignment moves forward, it does not return to the exact same position again. This is the truth that must settle within you. Not to create pressure, but to create clarity. Because clarity leads to action. And action leads to alignment. And alignment leads to movement that cannot be delayed any longer. You are not here by accident. You are not hearing this by coincidence. You are here because this moment was meant to meet you. And now, you are being asked to meet it in return. Fully. Without hesitation. Without delay. Because this is the breaking point. And what you do here will not just affect this moment. It will define what comes next. Type "I do not miss this moment" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 9090 is now activated. Everything you have heard until this point hath been leading to this. Not just awareness. Not just understanding. But action. Because there is a moment where knowing is no longer enough, and that moment is now. This is where the shift becomes real. This is where alignment becomes movement. This is where everything that has been revealed must be activated through what you choose to do next. It speaks with direct clarity here. Not to confuse you with complexity, but to bring you into simplicity. Because what must be done is not hidden. It is not distant. It is not something you need to search for. It is already within your awareness. It is the very thing that has been rising to the surface of your thoughts again and again as you have been listening. The thing you tried to set aside. The thing you told yourself you would return to later. It is what must be done now. Archangel Michael does not give you a list. He does not overwhelm you with multiple steps. Because activation does not begin with many actions, it begins with one decisive movement. One step that breaks the pattern of delay. One response that shifts you out of hesitation and into alignment. And that step is already clear to you. It may feel uncomfortable. It may require you to move beyond what feels familiar. It may ask you to release something, confront something, or step into something you have been avoiding. But that discomfort is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that you are moving in the right direction. He sees your resistance, not as failure, but as a natural reaction to change. Because stepping into alignment often requires stepping away from what has felt safe, even if it has not been right. It requires trust, not in what you can control, but in what has already been prepared for you. This is where activation begins. Not in overthinking, not in waiting, but in acting on what you already know. There is no need for more confirmation. There is no need for more time to prepare, because preparation has already been happening. Every moment that led you here was part of that preparation. Every realization, every shift in awareness, every sense of urgency, it was all leading to this point. And now, the only thing left is your response. Archangel Michael's presence remains steady, as if holding the space open just long enough for you to step into it. Because activation is not something that can be delayed without consequence. It is tied to timing. It is tied to movement. It is tied to the exact moment where awareness meets action. This is that moment. You may feel the urge to pause, to think just a little longer. You wait until you feel completely certain. But that urge is the very pattern you are being called to break. Because certainty does not come before action. It comes after. Clarity does not deepen through waiting. It deepens through movement. And alignment does not strengthen through hesitation. It strengthens through response. This is why the activation must happen now. Not perfectly, not with complete confidence, but with willingness. Because willingness is what opens the door for everything else to follow. He is not asking you to control the outcome. He is asking you to take the step. And once that step is taken, everything that has been waiting for you begins to move. You will feel a shift, a release, the sense that something has unlocked. Not because everything changes instantly on the outside, but because something has changed within you. You are no longer standing still. You are no longer circling the same point. You have moved. And that movement changes everything. Because once you step into alignment, the path begins to reveal itself more clearly. The next step becomes visible. The next opportunity begins to form. The next level of clarity begins to open. But none of that happens until you act. This is the truth that cannot be avoided. This is the moment that cannot be postponed. This is the activation point. And what you do right now will determine whether everything that has been prepared begins to flow or remains waiting just beyond your reach. He has brought you to this point. He has made everything clear. He has shown you what must be done. Now it is your move. Not later. Not eventually. Now. Type I activate now in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1010 is now activated again. Here is something powerful that happens the moment you choose to respond. Not later, not after everything makes sense, but in that exact instant where you move despite uncertainty. That moment, your moment, triggers something far greater than what you can immediately see. Because while delay holds things back, obedience releases them forward. He reveals this now not as a possibility but as a promise. Because everything you thought you were at risk of losing, everything that felt delayed, misaligned, or just out of reach has not been destroyed. It hath been waiting. Waiting for alignment. Waiting for agreement. Waiting for the exact moment where you step into position and say, I will not delay any longer. And the moment you say that, not just with words, but with action, restoration begins. Not slowly, not eventually, but immediately. Archangel Michael stands not only as a warrior of warning, but as a guardian of what belongs to you. And when you respond, he does not hesitate. What was paused begins to move. What was blocked begins to clear. What felt distant begins to draw near again. Not because something new is being created, but because what was already prepared is finally being activated through your alignment. This is the part many never experience, because they stop at awareness. They feel the message. They understand the urgency, but they hesitate at the moment of action. And because of that, they never step into what was waiting on the other side of obedience. But you are not stopping here. You have come too far to remain where you were. And heaven sees that. That is why restoration is not just a concept. It is a response. A response to your movement. A response to your decision. A response to your willingness to break the cycle of delay that has followed you for so long. He sees what has been taken from you before, not by force but by timing. Moments where things slipped away not because they were not meant for you, but because alignment was not fully established at the right time, and that left you questioning, wondering if you missed something, wondering if what was meant for you had passed permanently. But hear this clearly: what is truly assigned to you is not easily erased. It may be delayed, it may be redirected, it may require realignment, but it is not lost. And right now restoration is being made available to you again. Not in the exact same form as before, but in a way that is even more aligned, more refined, more prepared for who you have become. Because you are not the same as you were before. You have grown. You have become more aware, more discerning, more capable of recognizing what aligns and what does not. And because of that, what is being restored to you now is not just a repeat. It is an upgrade, a refinement, a version that matches the level you are stepping into. Archangel Michael's presence remains steady, but there is a shift here, not urgency but assurance. Because once you respond, the warning transforms into support, the pressure transforms into momentum, the uncertainty transforms into clarity, and what once felt like something you might lose becomes something you begin to receive. This is the power of alignment, not something you chase, but something you step into. And once you step into it, it begins to carry you. Doors begin to open more naturally. Decisions begin to feel clearer. Opportunities begin to align without the same resistance. Because you are no longer working against the flow, you are moving with it. This is what has been waiting for you. Not just a moment of urgency, but a moment of restoration. A moment where everything that felt scattered begins to come back into place. A moment where what once felt uncertain becomes stable again. A moment where you no longer question whether you are on the right path because you can feel it. You can see it. You can experience it. But it all begins with your response. At one step. At one decision. At one moment where you choose alignment over delay. Because that is the key that unlocks everything else. He has not brought you this far to leave you uncertain. He has not revealed this much to leave you without direction. He has brought you here so that you can step into what has already been prepared. And now restoration is ready to meet you. Not later, not eventually, but the moment you respond. This is your confirmation. This is your assurance. This is your promise. What you thought was slipping away is returning. Stronger, clearer, more aligned than before. And it begins now. Type I receive restoration in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1111 is now activated. This is where everything comes together. Not in theory, not in possibility, but in reality. Because you have now reached the final point, the place where all that has been revealed, all that has been felt, all that has been understood must be sealed by what you choose to do next. This is not just another moment in the message. This is the moment that determines everything that follows it. He is watching, not in judgment, not in condemnation, but in witness. Because heaven does not ignore moments like this. It marks them. It records them. It responds to them. And right now, your response is not just a personal decision. It is a spiritual declaration. Archangel Michael stands firm, not with urgency now, but with authority. Because the warning has been delivered. The clarity has been given. The path has been revealed. And what remains is your action. You are no longer in a place of uncertainty. You are no longer searching for answers. You are standing at the edge of execution, and that edge is where everything shifts. There is a silence here, not empty, but full. A stillness that carries weight. Because this is the moment where your decision moves from thought into reality, where intention becomes action, where everything you have felt inside must now be expressed through what you do. He sees the hesitation that tries to rise one last time, the voice that says, wait just a little longer, the thought that says maybe later, the pull back toward what is comfortable, what is familiar, what requires nothing from you. But that voice no longer holds authority, because you have heard the truth. You have felt the urgency. You have seen the pattern, and you have been shown what is required. And now, hesitation is no longer confusion. It is resistance. And resistance is a choice. But so is obedience. And right now, those two choices stand clearly in front of you. Not hidden, not blurred, not complicated. Clear, direct, unavoidable. Archangel Michael does not repeat the warning again. He does not need to, because everything that needed to be said has been said. Everything that needed to be revealed has been revealed. And everything that needed to be understood is already within you now. This is the final seal, not placed by words, but placed by action. Because heaven does not seal moments based on what you feel, it seals them based on what you do. This is where your alignment becomes permanent, where your decision locks into place, where your path moves forward without hesitation, or remains where it is waiting for another moment that may not come in the same way again. He is not asking you to be perfect. He is asking you to be responsive, to move when you are called, to act when you are shown, to trust when clarity has already been given. Because this moment is enough. Everything you need is already here. The understanding, the awareness, the direction, the opportunity. Nothing is missing. Nothing is hidden. Nothing is being withheld. All that remains is your response. And that response will echo beyond this moment, into what opens next, into what aligns next, into what is released over your life as a result of what you choose now. This is not the end of something. This is the beginning, but only if you step into it. Only if you move. Only if you act. Because the final seal is not placed by waiting. It is placed by action. And right now that action is in your hands. He is watching, not to see if you understand, but to see if you will respond. And what you do in this moment will define everything that follows. Type "I step forward now" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1212 is now activated. As this final seal settles upon your spirit, understand that your response does not end with you. It becomes a doorway for others who are still waiting to hear this truth. When you release your support through Super Thanks or through the PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a message. You are sowing into a harvest of souls awakening at their own breaking point. The word speaks directly into this moment. When you give in obedience, the heavens open over your life, and this is your divine opportunity to step into that promise. I feel this call within me, and I act without delay, knowing my seed becomes light in someone else's darkness. Do not hesitate now, because this is not just generosity, it is alignment with a greater mission. Heaven honors the one who moves in faith, and it multiplies every act done in obedience. Release your seed, step into this flow, and become a vessel through which this message continues to reach the lives it was destined to transform.